Welcome to the sweltering depths of Africa's hottest deserts. These seemingly desolate plains are filled with treasures below, but finding the rarest and most unattainable gems can be a difficult challenge. You'll get to see exactly what that looks like on this crystal sourcing expedition, where we'll be driving over 7,000 kilometers across South Africa and Namibia in search of unique and valuable geological wonders. Unfortunately, we had to leave the lush and green beauty of Cape Town behind and headed to dustier pastures. Yeah, it's good, yeah. This was Mike's first time being on video, so he was a little bit nervous about his grand debut. Let's hope he keeps acting normal for the rest of the trip. Our first stop in South Africa took us to a small goat farming village nestled beside the mountains. Okay. The farmers brought us bucket after bucket of dust-covered crystals. Most of it had been found near the base of the mountain while herding goats. The downside to collecting crystals this way means that the material is often lower quality. That's because the best stuff is usually still hidden deep underground. The stuff you're seeing in the buckets here is just smoky quartz or regular quartz with an iron oxide coating.
We got another box.
Our new friends were eager to make a sale, but it really wasn't what we were looking for. So we decided to hit the road again, this time approaching a remote border crossing into Namibia. Little did we know that was the last body of water we would see while we were in the country. That's because the Namib Desert is one of the hottest and driest places on Earth. We set up camp on top of a desert rift. A rift forms where Earth's crust is stretching and cracking. This happens in places where tectonic plates are moving apart.
Cheers.
And it ended up being a terrible place to camp. After an unbelievably windy and noisy night, we got up to make breakfast. And that's when they came. Within minutes of setting up, hundreds of bees descended upon us. It was a frenzy to get any drop of water that they could. After a narrow escape, we headed into the capital city to pick up SIM cards. I immediately almost got robbed at an ATM, so I decided I would rather be out in the desert with the scorpions and bees. The Brandberg Mountain area is a well-known locality for a variety of valuable crystals. As soon as we got close, these unique roadside crystal shops were popping up everywhere. They went on for miles and all had a similar charm to them. Even though there are hundreds of tables and thousands of crystals to look through, it's unlikely that you'll find anything special here. Most of the material on display are low-grade quartz family crystals, fluorite, black tourmaline, or garnet. You can see that the fluorite has no termination, low saturation, and looks pretty rough. Regardless, these stands are a unique feature of the region and are well worth a stop. Sometimes you won't see any locals around, but you can still do your shopping as long as you leave something for whatever you take. Just look for the table with the self-serve bowl where you can put your cash. Of course, there are far better treasures the deeper you head into the mountains, and that's exactly where we're going. We ended up camping beside a small village of the local Himba tribe, and were treated to a beautiful sunset and some of the most breathtaking stars I've ever seen. The next morning, we hit up a local crystal market. Apart from a few tourist buses making short stops, there was nobody else there. But right away you could tell that the quality of the crystals there was already better than what you could find at the roadside. Uranium.
Come from Irongo Mountain.
The vendors were equipped with maps and knowledge about where all of the crystals are found.
That's black tourmaline. Yeah, we have black tourmaline and feldspar together.
Feldspar.
Yeah, white one is feldspar. Yeah.
Galena?
Galena. There's even nice white. If you put it in fire, it's making different colors. Fluorite? Yes, you can put it in fire.
This 14-year-old boy was helping his mom work at the stand, and he was definitely the most convincing salesman at the market.
It's close under the UV light.
Yeah, and even in daylight a little bit. It's because there's uranium inside the opal,
Yes.
and that's what makes it glow. And the more uranium, the more it glows. Although hearing the word uranium sounds a bit scary, the hyalite opal from this region isn't very radioactive. I ended up bringing a couple boxes home, and my Geiger counter reading maxed out at about 50 counts per minute, which is barely above background levels. Regardless, it's still a good idea to use some precautions. Wash your hands after handling, keep it away from pets and children, and make sure to clean up your work area. You can just use a UV flashlight to find any specks of hyalite opal dust that you might have missed. I do have a video with a full radioactive mineral safety guide if you're interested in collecting spicy rocks. We were definitely getting closer to the good stuff at this market, but if you're buying volumes and don't want the stuff that everyone's picked through, you'll have to go directly to the miners. Just be prepared to spend a lot of time in strangers' houses. And don't be surprised if your entire day disappears from visiting different people. The communities here are really close-knit, and the locals will always know somebody who wants to show you their batch of minerals. We spent the night at an old quarry, and were woken up by a scene that looked like it came straight out of the set of The Lion King.
So Marty, one night of overlanding, how are you feeling?
Pretty rough.
Pretty rough.
Baboons woke us up at 5 in the morning.
What's up? Note to the future self. Always apply sunscreen. Because your lips will look like this.
After shaking off the fatigue of our early morning wake-up call, we headed back into the village to close our first deal of the trip.
That's a lot of packing you guys have to do. How long is it going to take to wrap all these crystals? We got over here. We got way over here.
Half an hour.
We go all the way back, half an hour. Nelson is very optimistic, I think.
My estimate, 2 hours.
2 hours, Marty? Alright, if I'm helping and not being a lazy ass, maybe.
Of course, we were all very wrong. It ended up taking us about 6 hours to finish packing everything, and we were so ready for bed by the end of it. We spent the next day going back and forth between the mine ministry and the post office to get our paperwork sorted. While it's not an overly complicated process, it does eat up a lot of time.
Yeah, that's the boring stuff nobody tells you about. Filling out papers. How you feeling, Marty? Happy to get out of here?
Yeah.
With only 4 days in our trip left to spare, we headed back to our starting point. A lot of the mining operations in South Africa are on a much larger industrial scale. For example, what we're driving past right now is a manganese mine. Collector's crystals found here are usually just a byproduct of the industrial mining process. We did find one larger operation that was mining exclusively for crystals, but most of it was raw material for either cutting or landscaping purposes. Of course, we didn't leave empty-handed and managed to pick up a couple of amazing pieces from locals who were holding onto old collections. Although it's quite small, this rhodochrosite is actually one of the most valuable pieces we picked up on the trip. There's always some risk involved when you're shipping high-value pieces overseas, but thankfully everything made it through. And as you can see, we definitely have our work cut out for us back home. Quite a few of the crystals in this shipment need a bath in oxalic acid. It's a mild acid, but it'll be enough to loosen the reddish-brown iron oxide crust that's on a lot of the surfaces. This is what the clean pieces look like that are ready to hit the shop. If you enjoyed this crystal sourcing expedition, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more.